Hey everyone, I am Atul. I am the Chief Operating Officer at ShipRocket. Delighted to be speaking to all of you. A topic which is very close to my heart, the D2C ecosystem and how you can start a brand or build on an idea. I think before we get into it, I'll maybe talk about the D2C ecosystem and how it is evolving and what are the key drivers. I think if you look at it fundamentally, there are three things which have changed significantly: the consumers, the technology, and the enablers. Right, let's start with consumers. A couple of years back, the appetite of an Indian consumer to try out new things was limited. And you had a market which was dominated by the Luxes and the Surfs of the world. Look at life in 2021. There is an M Caffeine, there is a Boat, there is a Mamaearth, and that has come through because of a shift in a consumer mindset of people wanting more specialized products, of products they can relate to, they can associate to. Apart from consumers, I think the other thing which has changed significantly is the play of technology, of how technology has removed barriers of reach, which was a key impediment for anyone to start a business in the past. You have channels like Instagram, you have channels like WhatsApp, Facebook to reach out to millions of customers. You're not restricted by your physical reach. People are very comfortable. Consumers are comfortable buying or experiencing new products from the comforts of their house. You have ecosystem enablers, right? Like the likes of a Shopify or Instamojo or a WooCommerce to be able to create a destination for yourself. The appetite of consumers, along with these technology enablers, has to a large extent driven the top of the funnel demand of what we see as the D2C ecosystem. But there's a third layer to it as well, which is the enablers of what happens after you have been able to capture the demand, right? Then there are enablers like Razorpay, then there are enablers like ShipRocket, which ensures that after you have been able to reach out to the customer, you are able to complete the transaction and be able to service the need of the consumers as well. No better time to be starting something new. You have the appetite, you have the technology, and you have the enablers to be able to support that, right? And I think with that, I'll come to the next point. And okay, fine, yeah, the ecosystem looks exciting. There's so much exciting innovation happening. So if you have to start, how do you start? And I think the single most important advice I'll want to give you is don't start from the solution. Don't get fixated with, okay, I want to build this, right? Start from the consumer insight. What is it that the customer or your end or the consumer whom you're targeting is seeking, right? Insight has driven the best of brand in the world, whether it is Dove, whether it is non-traditional brands like Apple. It's the consumer insight on what problem you are solving for or what emotional need state you are addressing, which drives success of a brand. And hence, I'll say spend disproportionate time on figuring out what the insight for your idea is. What particular problem are you solving, right? Are you giving me an offering for audio accessories which I can relate to, which is cutting edge, because the likes of the Bose is not what I relate to, then I'm a Boat, right? Are you satisfying my need of having non-chemical or chemical-free products for my babies? Then you end up creating a Mamaearth, right? Or are you solving for my customer's need of coffee taste, which I want? Then I end up creating a Sleepy Owl. So be very clear on what the insight is, what consumer emotional state you are solving for. After you have the insight, you can build on top of to create a product. The next one is, okay, I have 30 potential insights. What do I do with them? Like, how do I test them, right? Again, one of the key things you should always look at doing is write it down, capture it, because the process of writing it down will help you refine it. And I'll say after that, convert it into a concept card equivalent, right? What is a concept card? Concept card is your visualization of what your product is. It's a one slide proxy for a commercial, right? Have a concept card, reach out to your potential customers, and just see what response you're getting. It's something which every big FMCG company does, like in Unilever when we're launching a new brand. We'll start with a concept card driven from an insight. A great way to test and validate initial cut on what the idea is. And as you are testing the concept with consumers, you'll be able to see nuances of base refinements in the brand story which you want to create, which you need to do. Eventually, a D2C brand, any consumer which is buying a D2C brand is buying two things. They are buying the product and they are also buying the story behind the product, right? And hence, a concept card linked to an insight is an important element of what you end up creating. And hence, before you even get into the next step of creating a product, I'll say focus a lot on getting the insight right, creating a concept card, testing it out with customers so that you have the base thing right. So we talked about the insight to a concept. I think very important that you keep customer at the center of whatever you are thinking of, right? And hence, to reiterate, don't think of the solution, think of the customer problem you are solving for. The more customer obsessed, the more getting deeper into the insight and what you're solving for a customer you get into. We've covered the enablers, we covered the insight and how you translate an insight into a concept. I want to reiterate, I think the single most important thing is to not focus on the solution as you start off, but be obsessed with what the customer need, which is driving the insight you're solving for. Your product is supposed to work for the end consumers, right? Not in isolation. And hence it's important you spend disproportionate amount of time in understanding the customer journey of who your user is. If it's a mother of a kid, just live through the journey of what they are going through on a day-to-day basis and which part of their life is your product going to add tremendous value in. And I think the opportunity which these enablers has offered us is that customers today are looking at solutions for their specific and the changing consumer behavior, right? And is opening up immense opportunities for entrepreneurs to address specific use cases, add to the repertoire. It's not always that you are replacing a particular product. As we evolve, right? As the consumer taste changes, as the consumer behavior is evolving, there is need of more and more products. There is need of more and more specialized products. I have used a shampoo all through, but now there are solutions like sulfate-free or onion infused shampoos, and I think all of that has come from a deep consumer insight of what a customer needs. If you create a product which is not backed with customer insight or a sharp consumer insight, there are chances that it won't succeed, right? You can't create or you can't change consumer behavior. What you can do is identify an inherent consumer behavior shift which is not being solved or addressed by a product and enter there. That's the sweetest spot. There is a trend which you observe which is happening. There is no product or no service or no offering to cater to that demand. You enter there bang on, and that's when you have a great product. Okay, so we talked about the concept piece of it, and you have a visualization of what the product looks like. The next one, and a quick one, is always to get a product market fit done. At this stage, don't get overawed or overwhelmed with how am I going to do it, national consumer product, what does it look like? Start small, start micro, figure out where you can get your first batch done, right? Even if it's not the destination packaging, if it's not the destination value prop, as long as your insight and what you are addressing as a need is clear in your mind, I'll say get a product out in the market, test it with consumers. The benefit of that is you not only get early feedback on what the product is performing versus your value prop, you also get a lot of feedback on the value prop, right? And through channels like Insta, Facebook, WhatsApp, bring alive what your brand stands for. The brand value prop along with the product, a sample set of your early evangelist customers, test it out, reach out to them, solicit feedback from them, ensure it's a two-way communication. See, traditional brands have always struggled, I won't use the word struggled, never had an opportunity to have a one-on-one interaction. With technology, anyone who's starting off has an opportunity to connect at a very deeper level with the early consumers. You when you're starting off, you potentially know all the 1,000 customers who are trying your product. But it's on you then, on how you are reaching out to them, how you're leveraging them, how you are using the early adopters to solicit feedback from them, to make them part of the brand creation process. The more you expand the circle of inputs on what the final product can look like and not be fixated with only how you had envisioned it, but make the first 100, 200 consumers part of that process, I think creates wonders in the long run, right? And hence, the product market fit, in a sense, is an evolving journey. What you started off after you had the concept and the insight, right, might not be the final thing you go ahead with. Just have your ears and eyes open on what your first 100 or first 1,000 set of customers are telling you. Incorporate that and then build on top of it. I think that's very important, so that while you had the concept right, what you get into the market is also reflecting what your early adopters are talking to you about. So you have the product market fit sorted. I think there's another important element after you have the brand story and the product out in the market. That what is the purpose of the brand? What emotional payoff is the brand offering to the consumers? All of us, right? Like any brand you consume, you want to be connected at an emotional level with that, right? You not only buy the product, you also buy the story behind it. You also buy why do they exist? What are the ethos of the brand? What does it stand for? What will it do? What will it not do? And I think for a successful brand, now it's not important when you're in a product market fit stage because you're reaching out to the first 1,000 or 10,000 customers. But if, as you think of scaling it to reach out to millions of customers, those million will come if they feel connected to the purpose of the brand, if they feel connected to the story of the brand, and hence spend time talking to these 1,000 and getting that emotional payoff, the purpose of the brand sorted. Now, a lot of it will come obviously from the insight of how you started, but very important to have a very clear purpose, right? What does the brand stand for? Am I changing the way kids grow up? Am I adding? Okay, I'll give you an example of a purpose. I want parents to help nurture my kids better. I want to enable mothers to be able to give the best nutrition for their kids. I want to enable the Gen Z customer to go out and feel confident. I want, these are purpose. And once you define a purpose for your brand, the set of products which you end up building or the way you connect with your consumers start evolving from there. And hence an important element, define a purpose. What do you stand for? What is the emotional payoff for a customer who's buying you, right? I think that for me is things which you should keep in mind as you start off. D2C ecosystem being powered by shift in consumer behavior, technology enablers which have removed barriers of reach, and enablers like the Payshift Rocket, which ensures that you can operate a business even at a very smaller scale as you're starting off. Critical to get the insight of what you want to build, the customer backwards reason, not a solution backwards thing. I want to build a soap. No, I want to build an FMCG or a beauty business. No. What are you building it for? What's the insight? Test it out through a concept, early feedback, reach out. Concept is a simple slide. Even if you don't have the product ready, concept is a great way to refine the idea, the core thought of what you're trying to build. Do a quick product market fit, reach out to the first 1,000 odd customers, ensure they are as much part of building the product and the D2C brand as you are. Use them as sounding boards to do a up-down on refining the idea and the thought, get the product market fit ready. You have the first 1,000 customers, but remember, to scale it to the next million, you'll need a very well-defined purpose which the consumers can relate to and derive emotional payoff from. I think talking about the risks and challenges, the biggest watch out which I'll leave with you is don't go for the solution. go like keep a hawk eye on what the insight is and your ability to be able to articulate it with everyone at your home, your mother, your sister, brother, your friends. If you can in 2 lines summarize for them what is the customer problem what you're trying to build is solving for in a very concise manner, which they relate to, right? And it's not that they can subscribe to. That's the most important thing. Most of the time we start building a product and we don't answer the why of it. Why am I building this? Who is my customer? Who is my target customer? Why will they consume it? What is the emotional payoff? I'll say answer the whys, and you won't have any challenges going forward, right? The other piece I'll say is I'll end with a few words of advice. I think there potentially was never a better time to start something. Like I said, the enabler ecosystem is ripe for this, but I think it's also important to go back in history and see folks who have done well on the basis of a deep consumer insight and a lot of obviously passion and energy and a lot of bias for action going behind it. But be focused on that insight. There are insights everywhere. Look at consumer behavior. Look at people around you. Look at folks. Look at how you behave. Look at how people around you are behaving. There are insights to be unearthed and products to be built on top of them. It's a lot in the mind and it's a lot in the observation in people around you. There are products waiting to be created, but don't create a product. Find the insight. Once you have found the insight, the product will flow through, and that's to me the key to success. Yeah, all the very best, and hope a lot of you end up finding those insights and building great products on top of them. Thank you.